Hello and welcome back to my channel where we try all sorts of fun things, and I do mean all sorts of fun things. Now today is going to be no exception, of course, but this one is a very special episode. Why is it special, you ask? Why? Well, it's because you guys at home voted over on my Instagram for this very unique haul that we've done today, and I am about to just let it all out and hope for the best. What are we going to be doing? Well, let's roll the intro and find out. So a few months ago, I asked you guys at home what you would like to see over on my Instagram. Now, if you're not following my Instagram, there is a link in the description box below where you can go over there and participate in upcoming polls about future content. This was a really interesting one, guys. You, with overwhelming response, said you would like to see some makeup. But not just any makeup. Makeup from ALIEXPRESS. What is ALIEXPRESS? I'm glad you asked! ALIEXPRESS is an ordering service where you can find things at a much lower price point. A lot of times they are dupes, sometimes they aren't dupes, they're just really cheap stuff. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So whenever I decided to scroll around on AliExpress and try to find something, there was so much makeup that I needed a little bit more direction. And that's about the time that there was a very big controversy that sprung across the internet. What was it? The James Charles and Wet n Wild controversy. You might recall a few months back, if you watch makeup videos, that everybody was popping up these crazy review videos comparing the Wet n Wild palette and the James Charles palette. But this was not the first time this had happened. This has been going on for a while. In fact, there was actually a series of controversies that came out around the time that the original James Charles palette came out, and it was all about AliExpress. We aren't going to actually compare the two palettes. We're actually going to see what the AliExpress version is as a standalone. I don't see the point in comparing the two because at this point there's a mini and all sorts of other things, and well, I don't want to get demonetized. So instead, I think that we're just going to do an unboxing and do a look and kind of talk about the consistencies of the shadows, the colors that they present, and if we like it or not. We're just going to pretend like the James Charles palette does not exist. Okay? Okay. Now, why did it take me so long to create this video, however, you're probably asking? Because AliExpress is slow. Like really slow. You could get an order in within a week of your order or within 6 months of your order. Don't be expecting anything to arrive quickly, so I would not recommend this if you're needing a quick turnaround. Fortunately for me, however, my package did arrive. And while I don't expect too much out of it because it's barely packaged in anything, there's a little layer of bubble wrap here. We could have damaged shadows. We don't know. The package is actually in pretty decent shape. Only one little tear right here. But let's cut into it and see actually how it fared. And without further ado, maybe, here is our palette. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the outside, as you can see. It's very reflective. It has plastic on it, so that might have helped it in shipping. I will say this, even though we're not going to compare them side by side, the MORPHE packaging is better. It's a plastic container that actually snaps. This is just going to open up. This is by Beauty Glazed, and as you can see, it says Color Studio Pressed Powders. And here we go, guys. Boom! Look at all of those colors. Wow, it's in remarkably good shape, and it actually looks quite pretty. I might be impressed by this after all, guys. It looks like there's a little tiny bit of fallout, but nothing super. So I guess right now that's good. That's good. Now the cost of this palette was extremely affordable, only about $7. And there was no shipping fee, so as long as you're willing to be patient, you can have a lot of colors to play with for only $7. Now the question truly is going to be though, are those colors worth $7? Sometimes with your less expensive shadows, your pigmentation just simply is not there. Now I really like some of these shades, and if they have good payoff, then I will be so excited. Like, so excited. But we're gonna have to do a few swatches just to find out, and I think I'm gonna take inspiration from Tupac right here, and we're gonna go with the green first. There are a few greens in this palette. We have this one, we have this one, and we have this one. So this one right here is the only one that has a glittery finish to it, so I think we're gonna save that one for last, but let's go right into these two first. Okay, so the first one, it actually doesn't feel bad when I'm touching it, and it has a lot of color on the finger as well. So right here we go. I'm not mad at that. Like, I am not mad at that at all. That's actually not terrible at all, and it actually felt pretty decent going on, almost creamy, almost. It did not feel powdery, that's for sure. Let's go in with this second green real quick and see if it does as well. We'll go right next to it. Ooh. Okay, so this might be a win for us, guys. $7, and we already have two pigments that look pretty decent considering that they're cheap. Let's go into our blues next. We have, it looks like this blue and this blue. So let's go in with this deepest blue first on a finger we haven't touched anything with. There we go. And right above this green, it starts off pretty good, but it does fade out at the tail a little bit more. So, this one might be one we have to work with a little bit. Next, we're going to go in with the pinky onto this, ooh, teal color. That looks gorgeous. Guys! I might have just found a new favorite color. This is beautiful. And it translates okay onto camera, but because I am so pale and so reflective, you cannot truly see the amazingness that is this color. Okay, so we're gonna clean off our hands and just keep on going, I think. Okay, we've encountered our first issue. This stuff is pretty difficult to get off. Like, what? Next up, I think that we're just going to go through this row, and I'm going to put this entire row on my arm, and that way we can save a little bit of time and at the same time see what everything looks like. This is going to be a messy, messy endeavor today, guys. I'm glad I'm at least wearing black. Okay, as you can see, this is the row that I just swatched from here to here. The only one that didn't show up really was this transition shade, and it was a super, super pale tan color. I don't know, that would be probably a crease color, like a base to start out with, so I don't expect it to be like crazy. You can see just a little bit of it, but even here in person, it's not that impressive. The rest of these though, not too bad. This one right here is amazing, this copper tone. Oh my gosh, if the rest of the metallics and the shifts kind of turn out like that, I'm gonna be so excited. But yeah, all in all, not too bad for a first row. I'm gonna go ahead and go through this second row really quickly and show you what those look like. Now, as you can see, this is the second row right here. The top two colors are more of your matte tones, and they did not turn out very well. They're a little bit light again. Not sure what to think about those. These, on the other hand, are gorgeous. All of your reds, gorgeous, gorgeous. And then this chocolatey brown, I was expecting a little bit more of it. I think that it had a little bit of fallout from one of the other shades on it because it has a pinky cast to it, which is not cool. But so far, it's not looking so bad, guys. Now this center row is an entirely matte row, and I'm very interested to see how two shades on this row in particular turn out. The white and the black. These are some of the hardest shades to just hit spot on, especially in an inexpensive palette where they're not spending as much money on the pigment. So I think we'll get right into this row and swatch maybe over here? Now, as you can see, one of these actually turned into a shimmer, although it looks extremely matte in the pan. So I'm not sure what's up with that. This black turned out great. I swatched it and was like, what? Was not expecting that. I was kind of expecting it to be almost a grayish black. I did not expect it to be a spot on black like this. So I'm actually kind of impressed. This is $7 well spent in my opinion, just for even a couple of these shades. Now, amongst the shades that we did not hit, of course, were those shimmer shades in the blues and the greens. So I think that I'll go ahead and add this green metallic gorgeousness right here. Oh, wow. I want to make a look just with this right now, but I don't know that that's going to match what I need to do this evening. But wow, look at that. That is amazing. Like, that turned out so well. Let's see about this blue right here. Oh, wow. The blue looks like it's going to be just as impressive. So I think that this is going to be a fun playtime in just a few moments. Now we have the purples and pinks, so I'm going to go ahead and fill them in over here. We have one last shade, and then I think we'll discuss all of these kind of in a little bit more detail, and this is our yellow shade. Our yellow shade is this bold piece of happiness that just looks like the sun. So let's just swatch. It looks pretty on the finger, I will say. And it's a little dusty on the arm, but it has great color. So, all in all, let's look at our colorations. From this last row, I noticed some of the pinks appear a little bit more dry and chalky. They do not come out quite as bold and robust in flavor as some of these others do, so to speak. I do like some of these a little bit more than others. I think that if I was looking, honestly, the metallics are my favorite. I normally am not a huge metallic person, but the texture and formula of their metallics really sticks out and goes, oh yes, wear me please. But look at this. I mean, all in all, this is not a dusty palette. This is a pretty decent palette, and we can make a lot of looks with this. Okay, so I think it's time now for us to get all of this off of our arms, now that we have kind of a good idea as to what colors we may love and we may not love. And then we're gonna prime our eyes and get right to this. This is the real test, guys. How hard is this? Okay, so now that is all cleaned up and it's time for us to start our eye look. In order to do that, we're going to be using our concealer by e.l.f. This is the 16-hour Camo Concealer. I like to lay it down so that the pigment has a little bit more something to stick to, and it allows it to really shine through in its true color. So I'm going to be just putting a couple dots on there and using a brush to blend it out a little bit. The only thing that I do not love about this e.l.f. is the fact that it does dry down a little bit more quickly than some of the other concealers I have used, so I have to manipulate it quickly. Okay, now we look like a circus clown, and it is time for us to actually start applying our eye look. Now, I do have someplace I have to go later on, so we cannot use every single color in the palette and look absolutely ridiculous. However, I do want to do something a little bit bold, and I don't know where I want to start. There's so many options, guys. Now, I think I'm going to start right here in the middle at the top, just patting it in. Notice there is a little bit of fallout, but nothing too crazy. Now, on the brush, on the other hand, it looks insane. Look at this. This is insane amount of color for just tapping. One negative though, there is no mirror on the palette. So we have our handy dandy Camp More mirror. Right into the crease we'll go. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of color right there just to tap. Okay, so that is going to be our first layer, and my first impressions of the palette when using it with the brush, wow, it's really intense. A little bit goes a very long way, and the pigment is so poppin', it actually has stained my brush. Like, that's where we're at in life. This is going to stain your brushes, for sure. Since we're in the mood for some red today, I think that I'm going to also add in a little bit of this burgundy color. The burgundy seemed to have a nice tone to it. It is going to bring it to a different level where it's not quite as poppin' in the bright red family. And again, a little bit goes a long way. This is a matte shade, so we're gonna put it right into the upper area of the crease here and work it in. And to add a little bit more of that red depth and dimension, I'm going to go in with this maroon color also. And I'm going to place it on the inner and outer corners. To diffuse out the top a little bit, I'm going to take a blending brush and I'm going to blend a little bit into the brow bone. To do this, I am not going to add additional product though. I think we have plenty. Now, I feel like this is still a very bold look, so I want to put something kind of in the crease to darken it just a little bit, but now that I have a nice base, it will blend a lot better. So I'm kind of thinking about taking something like in this brown palette over here, this chocolate, tapping it off just a little bit, and then packing it a little bit into the crease. And now we blend! Now, I will remind you that anytime you do your makeup, it doesn't look right until the very end. So, if you're in this stage and you're going, oh my gosh, what is going on? It's okay. It'll be better in just like 5 more minutes. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of concealer right here, and then we're going to add our shimmer. Now again, I'm going to apply this with the little brush as opposed to this massive, massive applicator, which I feel like is just too big for like anything in life. Now I'm going to take my finger, the best applicator on earth, and I am going to dig right into this shimmery green that we absolutely loved right here and pat it onto the eye. Ooh, I like it. Definitely a fun little pop there that goes with the shirt. Pac should be proud. Last but not least, we're going to add a little bit of depth to the outer corner, and I think to do that, we're actually going to bring in this black that I was so impressed by. I just can't wait to use it. Now, I'm going to just put a little bit in here and blend out that green corner. There we go. Needed the mirror. Now we're gonna go and smoke out the lash line and add some liner. So I think I'm gonna just repeat exactly what I did up here onto the lash line. Okay, we're gonna have to do a little bit of cleanup because that did have quite a bit of fallout. That is something you will want to take into consideration. Today I did my foundation before, but normally I would, in this case, probably do it after. So I'm just gonna go in here and do a little bit of correcting and fixing without having to take everything off. Now I look crazy. Okay, so we have gotten it cleaned up. Again, there was a lot of fallout with the palette, with the black specifically. I'm now going to get off camera, go put on my liner, my lashes, and come back to you with my final thoughts. Okay guys, so minus my hair, I am complete for my look today. I'm really excited because the shadows actually turned out a lot better than I thought. I didn't know what to expect and I was really crossing my fingers that I wasn't leaving my house with some blotchy, crazy looking stuff going on my face. It did turn out really well. The pop of green does pick up in the light, and I'm pretty pleased. So now, guys, it's time for my final impressions of the Beauty Glazed Pressed Powder Eyeshadow Palette from Color Studio Collection. And for you at home, this is the one that kind of looks like the James Charles palette. I'm just saying. It kind of does. Although the coloration, I will say from using both palettes, I said I wasn't going to do this, but I am. It is not the same, like at all. They're not the same. Sure, it's the rainbow, but the pigmentation is completely different. Some of these shadows are better, some of James's shadows are better. I'm not going to tell you which ones. You'll have to see for yourself because I am not getting demonetized today. But let me tell you a little bit about what I thought about this palette as a whole and if I think that you should get it or not. Okay, so the first thing that we want to address is the price point. Only $7 for all of these shadows. You might be thinking, okay, so it's probably not very good. Wrong! Over 80% of these had amazing pigment payoff on the swatches, and I can only imagine that creating hundreds of looks, I could create all sorts of fun things because the shadows are decent. Now, are they the creamy, rich textures of some of those $60 and $70 palettes? No. Are they dusty though? No. It's kind of a blend of kind of in between that, and I was really impressed. If you're looking for something to have fun with when it comes to color, this is a great palette for you because, again, only $7. Now, the next thing is how long it's going to take for you to get it. Ordering through AliExpress, you have that hit or miss. It's either going to come soon or it's going to come late. I don't know how they delegate which order goes out at what point in time. I just know that you can expect anywhere between a week and 2 months on your estimated delivery on average, and in some cases it can take longer. Now, this didn't take that long. I was really impressed because I did receive it in a somewhat timely fashion compared to what I thought I would. I've personally never had a bad experience with AliExpress on shipping. I usually receive things within 3 to 4 weeks. This did take a little bit longer, but still not terrible. I knew it was going to take a while, so I didn't plan on using it immediately. Just saying. Next up, I would say for those who are slightly concerned with the ingredients that might come from a Chinese-based company, this one does actually have all of the ingredients listed on the back, unlike some of the palettes that I have seen. So if you go to Beauty Glazed on AliExpress, you are guaranteed to know what is in your makeup, and that is a big positive for me as well for the ordering from AliExpress. Not all of the makeup brands on AliExpress are like that, and I do want to experiment and play some more online with ordering some things, so I'll be bringing you some more wonderful AliExpress videos in the future. Last but not least comes down to playing in makeup. If you enjoy playing in makeup, this is definitely a palette you should try out. There are so many colors and so many color stories that you can create with just this one single palette. The pan sizes are not that bad. Overall, as you can see, the palette is not huge, but it is a nice, comfortable size for you to take with you anywhere and create and play. And that's what makeup's supposed to be about, right? We're just supposed to have a good time and get in there and do something different and fun. Now, again, all of my videos are just for fun and no beef toward James Charles. Again, I do encourage you to try out his palette as well because it is a completely different palette and there are a lot of differences, like a lot of differences. Now, visually, they may appear the same, but they are not. They are not the same palettes whatsoever. I do like the fact that this is a very affordable way for you to try out color if you're not as familiar with color or kind of afraid to get into color before upgrading to a more expensive and higher quality palette. So you might want to try this out, and then if you love it, then go over there and try out a Morphe palette. There's tons of different colors that you might like within this color story. I know I mentioned James Charles a few times, but it's simply because that's kind of what the controversy was over this particular palette in the first place. People said that it looked like his, and you know, does it? Kind of. Is it the same? No. But it's a fun way for us to all sit here and experiment and play with makeup. So, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. Thank you guys so much for voting to see this video. I have had such a good time, and now I have a cute, fun look for me to get out and about. I just need to put on a sweater because it's a little bit chilly. California love.